Hi guys, Sarah here from Highland Haven Australian Shepherds and Highland Haven Dog Training, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 5 of Dog for Thought. Joining me is my co-host, daughter and dog trainer extraordinaire, Sophie.
Hi everyone.
What's going on, Sophie? How you been?
Nothing much. Penny's going home tomorrow, which it kind of flew by. It's nice to have a puppy, and it's also really nice to return a puppy. It's kind of like getting a boat. It's fun getting them the first day and then returning them, like selling the boat the last day.
What? You know what I mean? You want to sell the boat?
No, my point is like people say the best part of owning a boat is getting it and selling it. It's kind of like watching a puppy. Like
I think a better analogy would be grandchildren. You're happy that they're visiting, and you're happy to send them home.
Well, that's my point. It's like she's like a little grandchild. Like, I love hanging out with her because she's such a sweet puppy, but I'm so happy she's not my puppy.
She really has been very low maintenance,
No,
but I
is.
agree. Like,
puppies are just a lot of work in general.
Yeah, it's more. I have to take her out more than I would normally have to get up and go outside. And this morning it was chilly outside. It was probably in the 40s. So I was out there, and she's very quick, very efficient. Pees right away, poops right away. She's really, really good. But I'm standing out there going, oh, I'm so glad you're going home tomorrow because I don't want to do this in the cold. I want to stand inside and send the dogs out into the cold. I don't want to have to go out there with them. So, yeah, she's going home tomorrow. She's done really well. She's a sweetheart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've enjoyed having her.
Yeah, no, she's a love. And she's so sweet. And she reminds me of Ruby, so it's been kind of like therapeutic having her around because she's just like Ruby as a baby. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, there's not much going on here. We just have some training dogs. We have some boarding dogs, so that's kind of boring. But you have a friend. Well, Maya's friend has an older Shiba that you've sort of been helping her out with. You want to talk about him?
Yeah, so Oscar is a 10-year-old Shiba, and kind of like quick story is essentially this is their family, so Tatiana's family's dog, and they've had him for 10 years, and pretty much the way that she describes it is they just had no time for him. They have a bunch of little kids, like all under the age of 7, and so...
These are Tatiana's siblings,
yeah, these are her siblings, not her children. And, they just didn't have time for the dog, so a lot of the time that the dog spent for the past 10 years have been in the crate, and because they haven't really socialized him or worked with him, in my opinion, like not at all, and in Tatiana's opinion, not really at all either, he has showed signs of having aggression towards new people, people coming in the house, and he's very quick to use his mouth with things that he's scared of or insecure about. And so now Tatiana finally is able to move out of her house, her family house, and living on her own, and she's taking the dog with her, and pretty much she's the only one who walks him, takes care of him, does anything with him because they're too busy raising 3 young children under the age of like 9.
And he had some Shiba-like challenging qualities. Mm-hmm. And I think it sounds like they were just overwhelmed by them. Yeah. And they got worse and worse.
Yeah. So Tatiana's been really trying to, she works at Petco, so she brings him to work, and he does fine, like walking in Petco, which obviously we know is very overwhelming. And grooming, he does great, and she's really worked on him in like a lot of different other places, but like around new people and his reactivity towards other dogs have been a huge struggle. And now that she lives in this new complex and can 100% devote most of her time towards him, she's been asking me like tips and tricks and advice on like things to do with him, and she also wants him to have friends. Like, she wants to be able to have friends over and not worry that he's gonna bite somebody, which is tricky. It's gonna take time. We already talked about it. She kind of knows about it. So anyways, we went over there 2 weeks ago, and my first time I've ever met him, he had a muzzle on. She brought him outside. We met her outside, and he didn't know that we were walking together, and then we just started walking together, which is, in my opinion, the best way. Like, me and Maya did not even acknowledge him. We just like kind of went into the walk, and as we started to walk, he like realized we were walking together, and then immediately went to go bite me and Maya. I kind of stood in between because I knew he was going to do that. He had a muzzle on. I wasn't really concerned. I also didn't want to show that I was scared of him at all, because just because you're going to bite me doesn't mean that I'm going to move away from you, right? It's not going to work on me.
Right. So before you go on, let's break that down. So dogs who bite out of fear, which anxiety would be part of fear, right? Being uncomfortable, that's all fear-based. So dogs who bite because they're uncomfortable have generally escalated to that point, right? So they have given dog body language to say, I need, remember we talked about last week or the week before about distance creating behavior, right? So it can be blinking, it can be squinting, it can be really, really subtle stuff.
Lip licking.
And then it just gets more and more, the body language gets sort of bigger and bigger, and then it goes to growling, and then snapping, and then maybe putting teeth on, and then maybe actually puncturing, right? So there's a series of steps. It's an unusual dog that goes from turning their head away to biting, right? At least the first time. It's a gradual progression, and it's usually because people don't see the signs. It's not that they're intentionally ignoring them. It's that they literally don't have no idea what's going on, and the many steps that the dog has tried to communicate unsuccessfully, and now has escalated to biting, and like a man eater, right? If you're talking about like a bear who's attacked a human, once they get there, it's like the next time is easier, right? Once they put their teeth on somebody, they're more likely to then skip all of that, all of the steps in between, and go straight to biting. Why? Because biting is very good at distance creating. The person screams, the person yells, the person jumps, the person steps away. Generally, it's very successful. It's a very successful behavior to ultimately get what they want, which is space, right? So likely that is what he's learned, and you want to now have him unlearn that, or have him learn that that behavior does not create the space he's seeking. Other more appropriate behaviors do, but he doesn't know those yet because you just met him. So the first step for you is in a safe, controlled situation, in other words, a basket muzzle where he can pant, breathe, drink, take food, whatever, but can't actually put his teeth on you. So in those kind of controlled circumstances, your job as the trainer is to sort of stand there when he basically muzzle punches you in the attempt to bite you.
Yes.
So that's where we're at. Go ahead.
So it definitely was exactly what you're saying, which was trying to create space between us. So immediately he did that, and then Tatiana tightened on the leash. And I said, no, give me the leash. So not only am I going to make him walk with me, but I'm going to be handling the leash. So Tatiana doesn't also have like this like fear reaction going down the leash as he's lunging and biting at me, because I don't care, because I know he's not going to hurt me. And I also know once I take the leash, he's going to be running back to Tatiana, and that's going to be his reward, since I can't physically give him any cookies and he won't take any cookies from me. And so what is that? Negative reward?
No, it's negative punishment,
Negative
right?
punishment.
Taking him away from the thing that he wants. Negative rewards would be allowing him to then
go back to
leave the
Tatiana.
thing that he doesn't like and go towards the thing he does like.
So that's essentially what I was trying to execute was, if you're going to bite me, then I'm going to take the leash and I'm going to walk
and you're
you.
making his owner the
reward,
reward, the
yes.
negative reward. Sounds weird the way psychology phrases it, but the negative reward, the negative reinforcement.
Because since I can't go in there and give him like he wouldn't take treats from me without trying to go after my hand. He wouldn't let me make eye contact without going after me. So everything I was doing, he was taking it as a threat and trying to flee. So the only way I felt like I could give him a reward is by
pressure and release.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a horse.
And it's not kind of like a horse. It's exactly like a horse.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I was handling it. And then also just not taking offense to him, like biting me multiple times, or, muzzle punching me multiple times. So, and then the whole goal was just to walk. I wasn't asking him to do anything else. I just wanted him to walk with me.
I think that's probably the hardest thing for a lot of people when they work like a trainer or a trainer wannabe working with the dogs. You tend to progress too quickly. You ask too much in each circumstance. You want to see that real big progress. And in a case like this, it's got to be really slow and incremental, because you're asking him to stop a behavior he's been doing for years and years, right? And breathe and think, gee, that doesn't work anymore. And you got to sort of dust off the part of the brain that says, what do I need to now do? Like, what do I have to do to get the space I want?
And on top of it, he's in this very id, right, of primal, like he's fight or flight, like, right? So there's three different ways they can either fight, flight, or freeze. Most dogs will fly away. If there's not an option, then they'll fight or they'll be frozen, right? With him, because he's learned how to fight, his initial reaction is to fight, not flee away. And so I want to teach him that you don't have to fight. You can flee away, which was part of how I was trying to coax him and reward him, was, if you don't bite me, here's your owner, right? Like, you can go back to her and she'll pet you and give you cookies. And then you have to walk with me and get through whatever obstacles we're going through.
But again, when you're trying to create a pattern with a dog, they don't learn it the first time around.
No.
It takes several repeats of that pattern. And depending on the breed, the specific intelligence of that particular dog, and their state of anxiety, it might take a long time for them to start putting those pieces together. Yeah. Okay, instead of, to get away from her, I don't have to bite her. That doesn't work. Because essentially when he's biting, he's not looking to hurt you. It's got nothing to do with injuring you. It's literally, this is what I do. This is the behavior I do to get you to step away, to give me space. And now you're asking him to think about it differently. And sometimes dogs pick that up really quickly. And sometimes it takes a while. And, who can blame them?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
this
a
is
long time.
10 years of rehearsed behavior at this point. And he's never been introduced to new people besides in situations like in a vet, which is a negative experience. So me coming in and taking the leash and making him walk with me and kind of doing I knew there wasn't going to be progress very fast. More or less what I was trying to do is show Tatiana how much of a relationship she has with him and how she can use that relationship to do new things with him. So I gave her a series of homework of like he doesn't, like, you could tell there was like a playground there, and he doesn't like doing anything new, anything that is slightly different from his life. He has a really hard time doing it. So for instance, there's a swing set. He did not want to go underneath that swing set at all. Like, he was terrified to go underneath the swing set. So I would just use cues and luring, and I would lure him through it. And then as soon as we'd get through it, I'd let him run to Tatiana, and Tatiana would give him pets and kisses and cookies and stuff. And that was his reward. Over time, then he had no problem going underneath the swing set.
So people are in the audience thinking, well, what's the point? Why does he need to go under the swing set? What's the point?
And the point is that it's new and different, and I'm trying to create relationship with him. This is a threat that's not threatening. I know he can do it, and I know he's not going to be harmed doing it. And it's also building confidence of, like, if I take you through something, I'm going to make sure nothing's going to happen to you. And the more repetition I can do that with him, the more he'll realize, oh, this person's not going to put me in harm's way. It's not going to make me feel like I need to run, like, it's going to give me space to process and understand and give me time to relax and kind of collect my bearings. And that's what creates relationship with a dog, is by putting them in situations where they can do this task, and it's not going to hurt them, and you get to the other side with them, even if it's as simple as going underneath the swing set. That's going to create a really good relationship.
Okay, so technically what that's called is stress inoculation. Okay, the other episode that we did, that has a name. Yeah, that's what that is. And a lot of training, at least if you're not force-free, which we are not, is stress inoculation. And it's not that walking under a swing set is terrifying, or at least it should be, right? It's not something that's going to harm him. It shouldn't be a big deal. It does develop trust in you. Again, once he starts to see the patterns of, if I ask you to do something, you can do it. I believe you can do it. And I know you're not going to get hurt. Then that builds the trust and relationship. It also gets a dopamine hit. Once they get through that, that's the stress inoculation, right? You put a little bit of pressure on them to do something that's unfamiliar. And if they can push through it, they get this big burst of dopamine on the other end. And we've all experienced that, right? If we do something really scary, and, like a roller coaster is a perfect example of basically stress inoculation, right? You go on a roller coaster and you get it's terrifying, but at the end you have this giant, dose of dopamine. It's from overcoming your fear or the fear of the scary thing that ultimately was not going to harm you.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why you would do that. It just so happened that he didn't want to go into this particular.
Yeah. It could literally be
It could be anything in the environment.
It could be
so
like,
you just use that in order to work on that.
And also, I was trying to give her examples because he's older. Like, he can't be jumping on and off things. And I was like, there are plenty of things out here that I can tell that he's scared of. And you can just walk around something and you don't have to worry about him jumping or doing some crazy agility thing that you can get him to do. You don't have to do that with him. He is scared of everything.
Right.
So
lots to choose from.
Just pick one thing and just work on him walking underneath the swing set.
And my guess is and again, we've got to remember when we're doing things like this, it needs to be one thing.
Yes.
It can't be we're on the playground doing all these scary things for 15 minutes. That's cruel. Yeah. That's when stress inoculation turns into cruelty.
Flooding, right?
Flooding, yes.
So flooding is where you take a dog that's terrified and you flood them with all these really, for them, very scary things until they literally break. So like that is actually the opposite. So that's when people say like, I broke a horse, you flood them to the point where you break them.
Where they give up.
And they give up and they just listen to whatever thing you do, even if their life's in danger. The difference between that and what we were talking about is if you are learning, like if you are breaking a horse, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're a horse person, I'm not, when you're like testing them with a saddle, like trying to put a saddle on them, usually you start with like a mat. Right. And then they're going to buck and be crazy and you walk them around the little circle until they're used to having the mat. And then you take the mat off and that's the reward. Right.
Right.
And then you add it back on and you do it again.
But you wouldn't do that in the same session, right?
Yes. You would increase,
and this is where people get impatient.
Yeah.
That this is when people throw a saddle on a horse and figure, well, I'll just forego all of those intermediate steps, put the saddle on and get on and just ride it until it collapses of exhaustion or gives up, right? And that is a method. It's a method, unfortunately, that's still used quite frequently, but lazy.
And you lose your trust with the animal.
Yeah, what are you building there? You're not really building anything. You're really tearing something down.
Well, and that's why it's called breaking a horse, because you're breaking him. And that's not how we train. And, I think there is a healthy dose of putting them in stressful situations and then coming out the other side and being like, good job. You did such a good job. So literally the entire session, the first time I saw Oscar, was me walking him. And then we went under the swing set. And then we went back to our house and sat on the floor with him. And I just threw cookies at him. It was maybe 30-minute session. And he was exhausted because that's a lot. But I wanted to give her homework to work on him in many different aspects. So if she wants to take a walk with him, just go under the swing set a couple times. And that's the end of the walk. Done.
I would guess if you took him out today and walked him on a swing set, he would either go under it without a problem or he would resist mildly the first time and then go under it the second time, and it's now no longer an issue. Yeah. Which is basically what those types of things are, because they're not, there's really no reason for that to be terrifying. He hasn't been beaten by a swing. No. Right? There's no emotional connection there. It's just something new.
Yeah. So then we ended up going after the walk, which was like 15 minutes and a lot of talking and just having him really just chill out. Like, I think that people also forget when we're walking dogs, we don't always have to be moving as well. So it was a lot of just like talking in a field with him sitting next to Tatiana and me being like, he trusts you. You see how he's looking for you for guidance, and more of like cueing her into the little social skills that he has turned off because he immediately goes to biting, and being like, look, now reward him. Look, he's making eye contact with you. Give him a cookie. Just kind of showing her the little things that maybe she hasn't seen before. And
because it's easier to get overwhelmed with a dog like that and only see the negative. Yeah. Where somebody like you or I or other good trainer walk in and they go, oh, I see 5 different things.
He's reaching out to you.
Yeah, that you're just not well, seeing. But you're not seeing. Along with the 20 things he did wrong. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, it's not all lost. Yeah. I do see some glimmers of hope here. They're just not being marked and enhanced. So
I kind of gave her different ways to mark and enhance, and also like being aware of when he is sitting and looking at her. Like I think people forget when you're saying no the entire time that you also have to say yes.
Right.
And these are all really scary things, and I just put him through more than I would have comfortably put him through, just because we were on a time crunch, and I also didn't want to like not do enough for her in the short period of time I had. And so anyway, so that happened. We ended up going in the house. I knew it was going to be different inside. Dogs are much different inside than they are outside. It's obviously, it's a spatial thing. Like when you come outside, it's open and free, and when you go inside, it's much more enclosed, and yeah. That's how they feel. So I knew once we went inside, he was going to try to bite me multiple times again. And I just ignored him, and we just sat on the floor. He had his basket muzzle on. He was dragging his leash, and he came up and tried to bite me multiple times. And then I just threw a cookie away. Like, you don't have to do that. You can go over there. So it was a lot of more like me kind of being,
bitch, I don't need to make space.
Yeah.
You make the space.
Exactly. Right. Like you don't have to come near me.
We work on a lot with Journey. I remind Journey a lot of that when people come over and she does all this hysterical barking. I'm like, girl, no one's interested in you. If you want space, stop yelling at that person to give you space. Go make it yourself, right? And so we encourage her to go across the room and lay down, right? And then we instruct our guests to just not go near her.
Yeah.
And she's learned over time. I mean, she still loses her mind once in a while, but with a reminder like, girl, you're not on a leash. Go make your own space.
Go over there.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I was also teaching her is like when you do have people over and you want him out for whatever reason, having a leash on him where he is invading somebody else's space and then asking for space, he's allowed to make space. He doesn't know how to make space because he's never been taught how to make space. So also giving her tools like that. And I also wanted to gain his trust because I did kind of put him through a little whirlwind in the beginning. I wanted him to know that like, I'm not a threat. I'm not trying to do too much to you. You hear cookies. So I'm a cookie. If you need me to be the cookie monster, I have no problem being cookie monster for you. And I would just throw him treats, and he had the muzzle on and was trying to figure out how to get the treats. And I also wanted him to start using his nose because I think people also forget that dogs' brains, pretty much most of their brain is dedicated to their nose.
Right,
so
olfactory system.
If the dog shuts down, they forget to use their nose. They're too hyperfixated on their eyes, and their eyes deceive them. And this person's right on top of me, when in reality, go smell that cookie over there. Create space, use your nose, smell me before looking at me and biting at me. Like, use some of your primitive stuff. Like, that's why people are like, oh, you put your hand out for a dog to smell you. Don't really agree with that, but they do have a point. They need to start using their nose so they can understand who you are, what you've eaten, what you smell like. And I wanted him to start using his nose again, which is why I was doing a lot more luring with food and throwing it away and having him come towards me and throwing it away again. So he uses his nose to smell me instead of using his mouth to deter me. Moral of this entire story is I just saw him yesterday. So this is 2 weeks after I saw him. And I gave Tatiana a series of homework. I also had her, he was on harness. I put him on a martingale and a nicer leash, so she has more control over him. And she needed help fitting it on him and all that stuff. And so I adjusted it. She put it on him, brought him outside. We did exactly what we did a second time, which was we just started walking. We didn't acknowledge him. He did not bite me once. He did not try to bite me once. And I don't really expect that from a brand new dog that I've just met.
That is like that you say, rehearsed these terrible behaviors for 8 or 10 years. Yeah.
I was expecting him to bite me the first 5, 6, 7 times I saw him. He did not bite me once, which tells me that he doesn't want to do this. This is not a fun behavior that he wants to do. He's not
looking to hurt you. He's not aggressive. He's scared.
And also he's smart. This also tells me that he's intelligent to realize, oh, you're that weird lady who took the leash from me.
Likely he smelled you.
Right? Because that was part of me getting him to smell me. And I didn't take the leash from her because he was doing great. And every time he started giving me little signs of just like, he would give me like a side eye or a whale eye when I was walking too close. I would just stop walking and he would turn around and keep walking. So it's also like bringing back those behaviors that he wasn't doing before of like, tell me and I'll listen to you. And I think dogs who have never had a human understand them, when they start making connections of like, this person's actually listened to cues that I'm giving, it's like, oh my God, like the cobwebs start getting their brain starts opening up again. So
it actually makes me a little verklempt. Do you know what verklempt means?
Emotional, open, like
it's a Yiddish word. I'm sure Mara knows what it means. It basically means choked up.
Oh,
it's a Yiddish word for choked up.
Yeah,
it gets me choked up when I see a dog who hasn't been listened to. And again, it's not usually because people don't want to or don't care. It's that they just didn't realize.
Yeah.
And when you do start listening to them, like the corgi we have in training right now, who was doing all that resource guarding, when you start to listen to them and they see it, it is such a flood of gratitude in this dog, and they bond to you instantly.
Yes.
They feel safe with you.
Yes.
And it's just a really rewarding feeling. As a trainer.
Yeah. So that's what happened, and he did amazing. And then he went to go greet Maya, which he does see her frequently. She'll bring him in and gives him baths, and Maya will be in the grooming room and has always respected his space. So at this point, he's learned that these two people respect my space, and I don't feel the need to use my mouth to ask for space.
I feel safe with them, right? Sure.
He actually did approach her to smell her, to greet her. And then he had like a little low growl. And then I told Tatiana, okay, so now you're going to correct him and then move away. And then once you, like, essentially what the correction is going to do is snap him out of that mindset. And then you're going to call him back to you. So he starts learning that you're invading her space, and now you're going to move away.
Being rude about it.
Yeah.
No,
right.
We don't do that. Remember, when you want space, we come this way.
We come away, right? And I want also Tatiana to learn how to do that, since that's his leader. And that's who she's going to be guiding him through these experiences, that I wanted her to specifically do it. Could have I taken the leash and do it? Yeah. Would he probably have bit me? Yeah. So like, let me manipulate the situation so he gets what he wants, and he also learns a lesson at the same time from someone who he trusts already. So we worked a little bit on that. And then we walked, and there was a lady in a wheelchair and then two kids on the bikes. And not only were they on bikes, but they also had those water bottles that like you stick in the fender and it makes like a motorcycle sound. And they were revving their little bikes back and forth, and he did fine. And I was like, so is he reactive with, I thought you said he was reactive with everything. She goes, no, he's actually fine with people, kids, bikes, all those things. It's just other dogs who react at him. Which also is another layer of, it's fear-based. Like, you are threatening me, therefore I need to make myself look big. So you don't know. Blah, blah, blah. So not only did he start out as like this super aggressive case, and now as we're learning more about him, I'm like, oh, he's not aggressive at all. He's terrified.
Willing to use aggressive techniques.
Yes.
Because he's afraid.
But he's not a true aggressive.
Right. He's not looking to harm you or consume you.
No. And even when he did bite you, it's was interesting that he didn't go up. So I always think it's worse when dogs try to bite you and they go up at you, right? So like anywhere in the face or like the chest or the neck, like that is, in my opinion, more of a true aggression case. When they go down and bite at your ankles or your legs, that is space creating behavior. No matter what the size. If a little dog bites up at you, that's much worse than a dog that bites down at you, in my opinion. And he always bit down. He was biting my ankles, he was biting my calves, but he was never going up. He wasn't confident enough to go up to bite me, which also was another level that this is not true aggression. This is just what he needs to do to create space. We ended up going up. We walked him. Perfect leash walker, doesn't pull. We didn't see any other dogs, sadly. And then we went up to the field and we were just talking about him. And this time he sat against Tatiana, laid down in a sphinx, and then went on the side. And so that tells me, so sitting is really hard when you're on a leash and there's two people that you're not comfortable with. Laying down is even harder than that. But not only was he laying down, but he was laying down comfortably.
Like over on one hip.
Over on one hip. And we were moving around. So it's not even like we were staying still and he could watch us, you know? He was like actively comfortable with us up there talking and having this conversation.
Yeah, that's tremendous progress for a second lesson. Yeah.
To end the story, then we ended up going inside and doing the same routine with the food. And he actually approached me and smelt me. And he didn't try to bite me, not even once. So that's like huge improvement in like two sessions.
Yeah, and the second session was really, It makes you feel good that you helped this dog.
Oh, I hope he has the next like 4 or 5 years of his life that he's, doesn't have all this, doesn't have to live the rest of his life
Giving
in a
them
crate.
a language, a common language with you is,
Yeah.
it's like a dog right, like a human right. It's a dog right.
Yeah, man. Oh, I just feel so bad for him.
So one thing she did say, and I wasn't involved in this at all, but one thing you told me she did a word she used to describe him was stubborn.
Yes.
Right. So we thought today we would talk about segueing into what the topic's going to be. Can a dog be stubborn?
Mm-hmm. And I kind of explained it to her, and then I came to you and was asking, like, did I explain it right? Because how I explained it was dogs can't be stubborn. Dogs don't have the mental capacity to be stubborn. He is giving you stubborn qualities because he's being reinforced for these stubborn qualities, and it's incompatible with your life, but he's not stubborn. He's a Shiba, and Shibas are aloof.
All right. So let's start with a formal definition of stubborn. Having dogged determination, no pun intended, determination not to change one's attitude or position on something, especially in spite of good arguments or reasons to do so. So just that definition really kind of shows that it is higher thinking, right? That dogs don't have. This is a conscious decision to not change your position on something, right? Either you're thinking about like, nope, not doing it, or it's unconscious and you just dig your heels in. We all know people who are stubborn, who see that the way they're doing things is not working for them and they refuse to change. And sometimes they'll literally voice it that way. I'm not changing, or I'm not going to listen to another argument. On the other side, this is, that to me is stubborn. A dog can't, in my opinion, be stubborn because they literally don't think, I am not going to change. That's not what's going on. What you might see in a dog like this Shiba is you might see breed tendencies towards rigidity in behavior, right? Or more likely, or maybe a combination of that, and he's being reinforced for the other behaviors, period. So if you see a dog and you decide that it's being stubborn about changing a behavior, it's time to break that behavior down and figure out how they're being reinforced for continuing it. Because if you did your job right and you offered the right reinforcement, and sometimes that's really, really hard, really hard.
Especially with a dog who's very aloof, or, like I think of like a Great Pyrenees or Shiba, or a lot of Asian breeds is they don't really show facial expressions, and then you ask them to do something and they're just like, why? Like, what is the reason for me to do this?
They need a lot of motivation, and they've been bred that way for whatever specific task they've been bred for, right? Because the rigidity that we're talking about could also be described as, doggedness, right? Focus on a task to the detriment of other things. So, if you're talking about a behavior like a Great Pyrenees, their behavior is to run the fence line and look for predators and run those predators down until they get them and kill them.
Even if multiple, like it's like that story of, I think we talked about on the podcast, of that Great Pyrenees who like fought like 7 coyotes and
it was like
survived.
A dozen coyotes, right?
Yeah,
right.
like some crazy thing like that. But that's because we've bred them to have the drive to keep going. And
right. So that dogged determination that we're talking about is hardwired in some ways, right? So if you want to change something that's super hardwired like that, you're better off managing it, right? Because it's so hardwired, you're not going to be able to change. The behavior itself is so self-rewarding. It scratches that genetic itch, and it's almost impossible. Well, it's impossible to completely extinguish. You can a lot of times get it to stop by using incredibly harsh and cruel punishment, right? But the itch is still there. The itch is still looking to be scratched.
So, I mean, in this case, it's like understanding that my dog isn't being stubborn. It's a genetic itch that I need to satisfy in
Sometimes.
some other way.
Sometimes.
Right? So like
depending on the behavior.
yeah, depending on the behavior, and it's also depending on the breed too, because
And the individual personality.
you know,
It's multiple things.
yeah, like pointers, man, so id, and like I like even Lucy to a point. You could say that at times Lucy's stubborn, but reality is she's a pointer, and they're meant to go out and run until they literally collapse.
I mean, you talked about that
You know?
when you were working with Lucy and she wasn't able to simply transition from sitting and you throw the ball and waiting until you release and then sitting on a mat
Yeah.
and waiting to be released when you throw the ball. She wasn't able to make that very, very minor transition to sitting on a mat as opposed to sitting on the ground. That you can look at that and say, oh, she's so stubborn. No, that's rigidity. That's mental rigidity. And in that case, I don't think that that's something that's hardwired in her. I think that that's something that's a result of breed characteristics and spending the first year of her life in a crate and being ignored.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the funny thing is
not by her owner, by the way.
not by her owner. No, by her first owner or whatever. But the interesting thing is then when we did play the last time she was here, I know we had a whole talk about Lucy, is she did significantly better. And I think it was partly because she felt secure in she was with her owner, she's with her siblings, she's not in a crate outside in the cold. So she felt secure with her baseline of, people.
Right.
And
She wasn't in survival mode.
Exactly. And so sometimes also, I think the idea of stubbornness, especially with like rescue dogs and stuff, they can look like they're stubborn when in reality they're just trying to fight for their lives.
Right.
And this is what saved them. So why would I change that behavior if this is what saved me all these years?
I mean, if you're talking about survival mode, let's talk about it in relation to people. Okay. So 100 years ago, people by and large were not going to therapy for angst, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's not to say that depression didn't exist. And therapy didn't exist, because it did exist, but it wasn't mainstream like it is now, right? And sometimes you look at the evolution, so to speak, of people and you think, we're more in our heads than ever. We're like more unhappy than ever. We weren't unhappy like this in 1920. Well, that's because we were just people were literally in survival mode.
Yep.
Somebody who's had, a traumatic upbringing, that person literally can't expand their mind, right? And learn new things easily, because literally the brain and body is in survival mode. So it's the same with rescue dogs, which is why you have the 3-3-3, what is it, 3 days,
3 weeks,
3 weeks, 3 months,
yeah.
in order to get a rescue dog out of basically survival mode, where you see more of the real dog. I would say that it's not 3 months for many dogs.
No,
it's more like a year.
Yeah. I mean, Vivian, it took a really long time.
I mean, we saw changes in Vivi and Ty 2-3 years into them being here.
I mean, Ty would not swim.
Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't do lots of things.
Yeah, he would.
But and it's not like he came from an abusive background.
No.
So
he just came from just like being sheltered, and he just there was tasks that he wouldn't do for whatever reason. If maybe he fell in that pond when he was a puppy and was like, I'm not swimming. Why would I swim?
Vivi did come from a terrible situation.
Yeah, Vivi did.
But, so survival mode will cause brain rigidity. It has to, because the brain, all of the resources in that individual need to be put towards literally surviving. And it's very hard, even as much more evolved and intelligent creatures like people, to come out of survival mode, because it is such a whole system thing.
I actually think it's much harder for human beings than it is for animals. Like, I can take an animal, like Vivian is probably way farther than.
Well, I guess my point is, it's not a matter of being intelligent and knowing that that's what's happening to you and just getting on with it.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. And for dogs, like you say, there's just less going on in the brain.
Yeah.
So in some ways they have the advantage there, and it's still hard for them.
Well, I mean, kind of to briefly go back to Oscar is, Tatiana was like, oh, I'm having a hard time with him settling. Like, he just paces around the house because he's usually in the crate and he doesn't know what to do now that he's not in the crate. He has all this freedom. And I told her to work on the lay down command. And if he's not going to go lay down, putting a leash on him and like tying it to the end of like a sofa or sitting on a chair. And so he can't move. He has to settle.
Well, you can't move as much.
as
So
much,
more
yeah.
room than a crate, less room than the entire apartment.
And working on skills like that, because I also think that, you get stuck in this head, like I have so much freedom now. Like, what am I supposed to do with all this
Yeah, it's
freedom?
overwhelming.
And then you create bad behaviors.
Well, it's
on top of
overwhelming
that.
and it creates anxiety, right? So, we work on the go lay down commands with all of our clients, and most of them do not come from a sketch background. So, yeah, and as puppies develop, the whole crate philosophy, right, is to give them more and more freedom over a long period of time in increments so that they're not overwhelmed by their freedom and make terrible decisions.
Yep.
So the bottom line is I don't think dogs can be stubborn.
No, I don't think so either.
Although a lot of behaviors can seem that way. So when we do see a behavior that seems like stubbornness, we need to start thinking, how is that behavior being reinforced? Because that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
The behavior is being reinforced in some way. How is it being reinforced? And how can I take that reinforcement away from that and create some sort of reinforcement motivation in the opposite direction so that I'm developing a new behavior to replace that old one I don't like?
I also think it's sometimes really good to reflect on yourself as well. I know that's kind of like what you're saying, but I think sometimes people put all the onus on the animal, and I think a lot of the times the animal is reacting based off of what you're giving them. And so I think that's the beauty of dogs, and that's why I love them, is they really make you self-reflect on yourself. Like, how am I rewarding this behavior? Why do I feel like this dog's being stubborn? And what am I doing to pull these characteristics out?
When you start thinking that way, instead of, and I think what it does is it takes your ego out of it, right? Because you don't feel like the dog is doing something to stick it to you, right? They're not.
No.
They're just trying to get by.
Yeah.
And they're just doing behaviors that have been reinforced. When you start thinking that way, when you're talking about dogs and behavior, you start to then apply it to people. And I'm constantly saying to people, well, people say, I don't know why they do that. I don't know why so-and-so does that. Drives me crazy. And I look at them like, what do you mean you don't know why they do that? They do that because they're being why would they change their people are not going to change behavior if it's been consistently reinforced. Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something like, you're going to lose a friendship over something you've been doing, and somebody tells you this behavior is pushing me away, then that person has to then it becomes like not reinforced. Then you're like, maybe if I want to continue in this direction, I have to change my behavior. So basically it's like a behavior interrupter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're giving them a choice. I mean, this is all really pulled out really wide, but you can't not see it then in the world around you and in your own life, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there are times that I'll be doing something and then you put the onus on me and I'm like, frick, turns out I'm thinking you're the problem. Turns out I'm the problem because this and that. And I'm like, damn it.
Am I the problem?
Yeah.
Am I the drama?
Well, I think that's the beauty of that kind of that meme, am I the problem? Turns out I'm the problem. It's the same shit stick,
And when I think that it's one of the things I love to do is when I do something annoying and I know I'm being annoying, right, to your dad or you guys or whatever, and you call me out on it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm doing that. It sort of takes the pressure way down. Mm-hmm. What we were doing the other day when we were going to pick up Poppy, and I was complaining about literally everything. The sun was in my eyes. The seatbelt was bothering me. It was adjusted wrong. The movie The Sting got 7 Academy Awards. That movie is such a piece of drivel. So I'm on this kick because Robert Redford just died. And so I was like, go back and sort of watch some of his old movies. And I was like, I've never seen The Sting. It was a big deal. Everybody was, The Sting, the movie The Sting is so amazing, so amazing. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's like Academy Award winner. Yes, it got 7 Academy Awards, Sophie. So I was like, all right, well, this will be a good one. I've never seen it, although the premise, gambling and heist kind of thing.
really your
It's
thing.
not my kind of thing. But I was like, 7 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So I watched it. It was possibly the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So anyway, I was just fixated on that. And for the 30-minute ride, I had nothing but complaints. I was looking up the individual awards that it got. And I was like, costume design? Costume design? Are they kidding me? The costumes looked like a third grader made them. Set design? Set design?
Well, and then Jacob and Dad were like in the car, like, what is your problem? And then we had the conversation at dinner and just made fun of you like the rest
I
of the
know,
dinner.
it was hilarious because
So-
I was absolutely being annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how I got on that tangent. But yeah, you see it all around you. You see, when you start to see that, people won't change if they're not being reinforced. And then people might say, well, what about the current political situation, right? People vote in a way that ends up not turning out good for them. Mm-hmm. But people are tricky because, and I don't think this applies to animals, the human mind is tricky. What it does is it sort of changes reality into fantasy and rewrites the story so that you're right in your mind. So people are funny. They're really good at rewriting reality in order to fit the story they've created in their own minds. Mm-hmm. But animals don't do that.
Nope. And that's why I love them. It's so much easier.
That's why they're superior to humans.
Oh man, and the humans think too much, and then Anyways, also, I think we should briefly talk about. I'm very excited. We kind of gave you a little teaser last episode, and essentially, another one of Maya's friends, her grandparents have this border collie.
So this is Sophie's girlfriend's friend's grandparents' dog.
Yes.
I was thinking today.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated how we got there. But I've heard a lot about him, and her friend also has a border collie, and the grandparents decided to get a border collie from the same exact litter at the same time.
Yeah, so it sounds like it was one of those things like, oh, you should get the brother. There's another one
Yeah.
available.
Exactly.
Right, and sort of an impulse buy, sounds like to me, happens all the time.
Yep.
It happened actually with our litter.
Yeah.
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 Like, they'd gotten Kent,
Kent,
and their
yeah.
neighbors were like, oh, we were thinking of getting a dog. You should get Petey. Petey's available.
Yeah.
In that case, it worked out great.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
super
yeah,
cute.
yeah.
They go on
They
walks
go to
on
the
the beach all the time.
Yeah,
It's really
super
sweet.
cute.
Okay, but in this case, it didn't work out so good.
No. And the grandparents are like very old, like late 80s, and they also they run a very old school farm. They all their livestock on the property they slaughter for meat and stuff like that.
So it's cattle.
Cattle and pigs and
right.
chickens and very like and you go there, you'll see it. It's very old school. Like you could tell like their house owned all the property kind of vibes. So they probably lived there their entire life. And they treat their dog very old school, which essentially he's never lived inside. He's lived on a chain on the side of the barn. And
so farm dogs that live in the barn.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that if they're working dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If you come out in the morning, you give them their food while you're getting ready to feed the chickens and the cows and whatnot, and the dog comes around with you or helps you.
Yeah, hops on the ATV.
Right. And they live in the barn at night and they don't live in the house. I have zero problem with that.
Nope.
That is not what's going on
No.
here.
He's chained to the barn and just barks outside and cries all day, and the grandparents don't ever really spend very much time with him.
Doesn't sound like they have the wherewithal to care for him in the way that even they think he should be cared for.
Yeah.
So he's been on this chain for 3 years. He does have access to an indoor space.
It's attached to the barn, and then it looked like it was like an old chicken coop. And so if you go inside, he has like a water bowl and like an indoor enclosure. And he has like a little lamp to keep him warm in the wintertime. Yeah. But like it's not
so he
like
does have shelter.
Yeah. He does have food, shelter. He's healthy weight, he's beautiful. Like they've done a good job bare bones of taking care of him, but emotionally they haven't really done very much. And essentially Maya's friend, her and her parents have been like, you need to rehome this dog. They've tried to rehome the dog. The dog was just not having it. And then he was matted. So Maya is a groomer and was like, "Can you help me since you're into herding breeds
Because
and
Maya's
stuff?"
friend said, "Can you come help me give him a bath because
Yeah.
he needs a bath."
And so I went over there to help, also because I wanted to see a border collie, and he is the sweetest. I mean, he's on this chain, and you see him poke his head around the side of the barn, and he's all wiggles. We go over there, he flops on his belly and
On his back.
and we're giving him pets, and he's so nice and so cute and so like thirsty for attention. And we had a very hard time giving him a bath, like because everything is so new. Like putting him on the grooming table was new, water's new. Everything was just terrifying.
Which is also why they didn't successfully rehome him, because he flipped out when they tried to put him in the car.
Yeah, and he starts snapping and just like, and once again, it's a defensive snapping.
And then, if you've got somebody who's willing to take this dog and the dog is now escalating to showing teeth, growling, and snapping, you're like, quickly reconsidering taking this dog. Of course, you and I would see something different in that behavior, but the average person would be like, change my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to take him.
Exactly.
Because this looks like it's got to be a project.
Exactly.
So then you came home.
So I came home and I told you about him. And this was right after this whole thing happened with Denise Fenzi. So you were already like, very soft to border collies at the moment.
Yeah, so Denise Fenzi is my idol trainer online. She's fantastic. And she lost her very young border collie. I think he was just over a year old. In a really tragic accident. Yeah. Which was, being that I'm parasocially attached to this dog, it was really devastating. Yeah. So I was already in a spot where I I miss ice. So you said to me, you explained it to me, and I just looked at you and said, "So take him."
Yeah, I was like, can we just like have him as like a project, like as a donation to the community?
Yeah,
like,
I thought of that for about 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, duh.
And
yeah,
you
we
said,
can.
Go get him. And I said, okay, cool. So for the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've been trying to arrange like vaccines, make sure he's vaccinated. And
so we have to be very careful because we have our own dogs here. And of course we have other people's dogs on the premises. So we have to make sure that he is fully vaccinated. He doesn't bring any diseases, contagious illnesses onto the property. Also we have to make sure that he has vaccinated against rabies, because we want to protect the people.
He also lives outside, so
yeah, and he could be exposed to rabid raccoons or the barn cats and stuff. And then of course we have to make sure that he doesn't have fleas for all the same reasons. So it's taken a little while to he is neutered, interestingly enough. So it's taken a little while for them to sort of find the paperwork and see what he has and get him on the flea and tick medication and everything. But it looks like today is a Wednesday. It looks like he's going to be ready to be picked up on Saturday.
Yeah. So he's going to be our new project. We're probably going to talk about him a lot. His name's Angus.
So we're going to take him on as a foster dog. He's going to live here with us for as long as it takes for him to be ready to go to a new home. I would guess that's going to be somewhere 2 to 3 months. He's never lived inside, never been in a house, so...
Never been housebroken.
The thing that works in his favor, and I wouldn't take him if he was aggressive to people or aggressive to other dogs, because those dogs are impossible to rehome, and I cannot take on,
We have enough drama in this house.
I can't take on, rescue dogs.
But I met him, and they've had him socialized a small bit with the sister border collie, and the reason the parents couldn't take him is they just have too many dogs in the house as is, and he's a whole project. He's never lived in a house, so they never really felt comfortable bringing him to a house with new dogs and having to teach him all those things. It's overwhelming, and on top of it, it's not their dog, and they have lives and all those things. So luckily we're in a situation where we can kind of help him and hopefully be able to get him off the ground running. And
the things that work in his favor are he's super people friendly.
Yeah.
And he's a border collie, which means he's highly intelligent and very, very biddable.
Yeah.
So my hope for him is that he can learn quickly that there are alternate behaviors rather than just being in id all the time. And when you do these alternate behaviors that we like, look at all the wonderful things that cascade from there. Border collies pick up patterns really, really quickly.
Quick. really
So that's going to work in his favor.
I mean, I already started working with him when we were there for the brief. I think we were there for like an hour and a half, and everyone was talking, and of course I was being the nerd hanging out with the dog for like 30 minutes straight, and was just like testing him, and just, you know, he didn't have any toys, but he did have like this old water bowl that was like plastic, and I was using it as like a frisbee. And so I was asking him to do commands like sit and down and all these things. And he caught on that I won't throw it unless he gives me a command. And so there were just like a couple different tests that I was doing before I was going to bring him and tell you about him to make sure that he could come back here.
As if I'm a hard sell. I'm like the opposite of a hard sell on these kinds of things.
I know, but I felt like I needed to have all my ducks in a row because I didn't want to like bring him back. Like I am concerned that, you know, we bring him back and he's like not good with other dogs, and then we have him in the kennel and like, you know, so you know.
He also is apparently really bad in the car, like really terrified of being in the car.
Yeah.
So that'll be our first challenge.
Yeah.
And we're going to do lots of recording of, you know, different
step by step.
Yeah, different steps that we do with him. And the first is going to be getting him in the car in a non-stress. I mean, could we throw him in a crate and muscle him into the car? Throw a muzzle on him? Yeah, we could do that, but that's just not what we're going to do.
Yeah, and then it's like we're going to have to walk him at the park and stuff. So, and he's going to have to go in the car all the time, and we, you know, so it's if we can.
So the first experience of us putting him in the car has to be
good.
Has to be good and calm and not anxiety producing, you know, horrible, scary stuff. So who knows how long that will take. Yeah. Dogs are funny though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would not put money on any guess from he hops right in the car to it takes us 2 hours to get him in the car and he needs to be muzzled. It could
tricky.
be anywhere in that spectrum.
Because like we also like there are certain things that like the owners have said that like he loves the vet, but then he wouldn't let these new people bring him in the car. So then I wonder like what, like he's able to get in the car to get to the vet. Like they have multiple records of him going to the vet, which how the hell did they get him in the car?
Right.
But then when these people came, he starts snapping and lunging and being crazy about getting in the car. So I'm like, were they trying to get him in the car?
Worried about us getting him in the car.
Yeah. So like, you know, it's you never know until you're in the situation. You know, all we can do is hope that my one experience with him, I guessed that, you know, he was going to be a fast learner and biddable and nice with other dogs. He gives me those vibes, but also like.
And then once he's done fully trained and in a position where we think he can make a really nice family pet, we will put him up for adoption. Yeah. Full disclosure, I will have an adoption fee on there, but you know, a few $100s just because you can't put a dog up for free because you get crazy people.
You get crazy people, yeah.
But you know,
it's also like we did put a lot of time and effort into him.
He's going to have thousands of dollars worth of training under his belt, and we're happy to donate that. We've talked about doing this in the past, and the dogs that we've come across just haven't worked out for whatever reason. Yeah. So this is the first dog that we think
might work out.
Is going to actually happen. And I'm excited because I love a challenge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's nice.
We love border collies.
We love border collies, and it will be nice to improve a dog's life. That's always super rewarding. And it will give us lots of content to talk about how we deal with the fearful, inexperienced dog with a sketchy background.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So that might be happening this week. Of course, we'll have everything on social media. So chances are good that by the time you're listening to this podcast,
we already have him.
He might already be on our social media page, but his name is Angus, which is a cute name. So I think we'll probably just keep it Angus.
Yeah. Well, I hope they change his name once, like whoever gets him, because I always feel like that's like a fresh start, you know?
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So we should wind this up. It's been about an hour. In summary, Oscar the Shiba is doing well. Dogs cannot be stubborn, and Angus might be joining us for a temporary period of time.
Yep.
Yeah. So good things to come. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All righty. So I guess we'll wind it up, and we'll see everybody next time on Dog for Thought. Bye, guys. Dog for Thought is written and hosted by me, Sarah Brown, co-hosted by Sophie Brown, produced, edited, and original music by Jacob Brown. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.